name of Assembly Member Russell.
Thanks for your question and for your hard work in this area. Access to toilets is critical to many Londoners, sometimes being a factor in whether a customer can travel by public transport. TfL has delivered considerable accessibility improvements to the transport network in recent years, but there's much more work to do. Early this year, I committed to the biggest investment in toilet facilities in London's history from City Hall, £3 million per year. TfL uses money to improve and increase the number of accessible toilets on the network. Our ambition is to close the gap in current toilet provision so that the Tube, Overground and Elizabeth Line customers are always within 20 minutes of a toilet without having to change train. Following extensive engagement with customers, campaigners and staff, TfL carried out a feasibility study to identify potential sites. This considered customer views alongside practical considerations to identify locations of most potential benefits to customers. TfL is now bringing forward new toilet facilities at Clapton, Colindale, Paddington, West Ham, Morden, Hammersmith, Camden Town, White Hart Lane, South Tottenham and New Cross Gate. TfL is also looking to convert 5 existing non-accessible toilets to accessible facilities at Amersham, Green Park, Leighton and Sudbury Hill Underground stations and Seven Sisters Overground Station as part of a first tranche of works. It's also now a requirement that new stations and major upgrade projects include accessible toilets. Where space is limited, accessible toilets will be prioritised. There remain considerable challenges when retrofitting accessible toilet facilities into stations, as these are often space constrained, with some constructed in Victorian times. Providing water and drainage into these spaces is difficult and costly. Antisocial behaviour and crime in toilets remains a big challenge for TfL to manage and affects its efforts to improve provision across the network. It's important to ensure that facilities remain open and in a good condition, and to ensure that the safety of station staff is not put at risk. I want to thank the Assembly Member for her role in championing the importance of toilets on TfL's network. I was pleased that she was able to attend the recent event at White Hart Lane Station with my Deputy Mayor for Transport, where TfL announced these plans for further toilet provision.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you for the invitation to White Hart Lane and also to your team at TfL, who have done a really solid job on getting started on making our transport network more accessible with more toilets. Now, just last week, here at City Hall, I hosted Transport for All, who launched a report calling for transport planning to be more inclusive. And they suggest measuring 3 additional things to make planning our city work better for disabled people. And that's the volume of crowding in stations, whether there's step-free access, and the availability of public toilets. Now, will you ask your London Plan team to meet with Transport for All to discuss their report's conclusions and adopting those 3 extra things they think need to be measured?
Yes. Can I also thank her for convening this group and having those recommendations? So we'll take that forward, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed. So this Tuesday was World Toilet Day, and I hope you noticed people making a massive fuss about the need for public toilets. All the campaigners that I met on the day welcomed the new loos on the Tube, but they are worried about the 20 minutes travel time between toilets being a bit too long. Now, anyone with Crohn's and colitis doesn't have 20 minutes to wait to reach a loo. As you prepare your budget, will you put more funding into toilets to bring down the planned gap between loos on London's transport network?
Firstly, can I just say I do admire the member. She, working in partnership with others, she persuaded me to invest recurring £3 million in this area last year. And she comes back this year to ask for more money in relation to public toilets. Look, we'll be publishing the group budget in January, and her representations will be heard loud and clear.
I'll wait to see what they say, what you say in the budget. So finally, since 2017, I've been raising the problem of lack of toilets for bus drivers. In 2018, you promised bus drivers would have additional toilets by 2020. So it was disappointing to hear from the TUC on World Toilet Day in 2024 in their Toilets at Work report that bus drivers are still worried about bleeding through on their period, getting UTIs from holding it in, and not drinking enough to stay hydrated. Can you explain what's happening with bus driver toilets?
Look, I'm surprised to hear that. I remember in 2016 when I first announced the policy for there to be toilets for bus drivers, being mocked by some in this Assembly, not the Green Party, by the way. It's really important. It's a basic human right. You've mentioned some examples of the consequences of not having decent toilets. Let me take that away and speak to the various trade unions and TUC represent all of them about what's gone on there, but it shouldn't be happening.
OK, thank you very much indeed, Mr Mayor.